Many astronomers are noticing the arrival of a gigantic spacecraft, heading towards Earth and already near Pluto. In light of recent news about the SETI project that was cancelled by the Obama administration, it seems that something leaked through many sources. Exactly, say that SETI antennas have long picked up strange radio signals in different frequency bands of the control spectrum, and that these signals are more active and stronger. They seem to come from unknown objects found in the space. These signals are still controlled and monitored by NASA, are now top secret of the United States Navy. Signals of the future? There are people who say that these gigantic spaceships, which come to take some people, shortly before the Earth suffers a terrible cataclysm, the famous end of the world, Signs of the Future, the movie, when alien spacecraft landed to pick up the children, take them to another planet just before a powerful and devastating solar storm. Another hypothesis is that we are being invaded by aliens and the humans of the Earth will be forced to work as slaves. In both cases, the future remains to be seen. At present, space objects are beyond the orbit of Pluto. It is estimated that these are amazing in size. It is 150 miles long and 30 to 50 miles. Not long ago, a Russian spacecraft bound for Mars had photographed an object that conforms to this description shortly before being destroyed for unknown reasons. Later, an American Mars Observer probe was destroyed just before it reached the Red Planet. 3 motherships approach the Earth. Someone or something is on the way to Earth. ET will not need to call home ever again. Astrophysicist Craig Casanova of the SETI project has announced the approach to Earth of 3 large objects moving very fast. The length of the flying saucers is in the range of tens of kilometers. The arrival to Earth, according to the calculations of the scientists, should be in the middle of December of 2021. Some large objects are approaching Earth very quickly, says astrophysicist Craig Casanova of the SETI project. Project participants have ensured that the objects are absolutely real, and that the United States Space Agency NASA is trying to hide important information. None of these objects can be seen from the northern hemisphere. The second set of numbers in each line tells us that the object or objects come from the very deep space of the southern hemisphere. In any case, the only thing we can do now, hold on. Casanova says. Soon celestial objects will be visible in the sky with a good telescope. Keep your eyes on the sky, the truth will be known very soon. Description of MUFON reported sighting report attached are images of the sky and WWT map objects in the south of the polar region. Project Cassini classified, of all the activity of the ship Nodriza filmed in the system of Saturn. A 1.5 million mile south pole is a 20-mile craft that is now stationary. NASA and telescopes other organizations have been tracking for 8 months, and note that their trajectory comes to us. They are now stationary and there are boats that enter and leave this 20-mile structure. Very large planetary structure that comes in 18 degrees RA from Neptune's orbit. Should be visible sometimes next following years. Earth would be visited by an arrival massive interplanetary ships, has now told the media that some of the ships that visit us operate with anti-gravity devices and that a large percentage of UFOs filmed and photographed to date are really of extraterrestrial origin. In addition, in contrast to the prestigious Professor Stephen Hawking, who recently also stated that intelligent extraterrestrial life is probably predatory in nature, Wang rejected that theory by calling it alarmist and premature and stated that some kind of aliens are visiting Earth with objectives only for research and development, and therefore are sufficiently friendly and capable to initiate cooperation and mutual exchange with our species. A summary of Wang's remarks was published by a number of Chinese newspapers, including the influential People Online. Since then they have begun to comment that the Chinese authorities are tacitly promoting an exopolitical debate on the motivations of advanced alien life in order to prepare the Chinese and the world public for the unavoidable official disclosure of the existence of extraterrestrials, while that the more conspiranicos are also spreading through the streets of China the theory that all these recent scientific statements about extraterrestrial life are only lids to justify the existence of military UFOs. Statement, as we saw last January, also stated the astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, adding that the arrival of the extraterrestrials will do some damage to humans. Wang urged scientists to design and create the most technologically advanced telescopes to observe as close as possible to the strange flying objects that appear suddenly, sometimes in a matter of seconds. United States adverses Russia from an extraterrestrial invasion for 2021. A Kremlin report detailing the meeting between Prime Minister Putin and Vice President Biden of the United States this past week surprisingly reveals Russia's plea for the establishment of a comprehensive missile defense program for everything the planet in order to protect our planet from an alien invasion that is expected to occur by the end of 2021 after NASA's satellites revealed the presence of an incoming UFO fleet of kilometers wide have entered our solar system. According to this report, the communication signals that were passed between the giant asteroids 2010 SO16 and 2005 YU55 towards the Earth, which were reported in our report of April 21 called Awakening the Moon, amazed scientists after giant asteroids approach the Earth, are identical to the deep space transmissions previously described by the United States National Security Agency, NSA, as confirmation of a race of distinct intelligent extraterrestrial beings to the humans. The most interesting thing to note in this report is that the NSA's revelation this past week of one of its most secretive documents related to these aliens, entitled Key to Extraterrestrial Messages, where the 21 symbols used by these aliens in their communications seem to show that not just one, if not two different races of extraterrestrials are heading towards Earth. Equally important to note is that the declassification of this astounding information by the United States government agency, NSA, is that they have decoded the language of these extraterrestrials only weeks after another. The United States government agency revealed that those before were documents classified top secret, which reveals the important event that did happen, the UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico, and found the bodies of extraterrestrials, plus that shortly before the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, 1917 to 1963, asked the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, to provide him with all the information and files related to UFOs and extraterrestrials, a request which they refused to comply with. This report goes on to detail Putin's speculation to Biden that our Earth might be approaching a scenario similar to that of April 4, 1561, when the skies of Nuremberg, Germany, witnessed a battle between UFOs, seen by thousands of people in that city, and about which we can read as reported at that time, what was described as a war in the heavens, with a wide variety of ships ranging from spheres to cylinders in the form of spears, to crosses and plates. The sky was apparently filled with machines, confronted in a battle for over an hour. The battle was such that a winner was perceived as well. The spherical ships seemed to emerge from a cylindrical nurse ships. At the end of the battle, a great super ship of some sort, black and spear-shaped, appears on the scene. An old woodcut was created by Hans Glaser documents the event. As to why these extraterrestrial races might be coming to our Earth was revealed this past week when British astronomer Lord Martin Rees and Royal Astronomer for Scotland, Professor John Brown, made a joint public statement warning that our human civilization was so alone a 50% chance to survive until 2100 without suffering a catastrophe provoked by humanity itself. This report further states that Biden told Putin that the United States has provided nearly all public funds to its space agency, NASA, and that it has redirected billions of dollars into the private aviation sector, as is the case of highly reserved Blue Origin rocket company for the construction of an immense fleet of manned and unmanned space vehicles that shoot laser beams to patrol the outer space of our terrestrial atmosphere, but whose works remain in total secrecy to the American public. Since the, even if sponsored by the government, cannot disclose its activities under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, Act. Note: this past week the United States Navy announced its first successful test of laser weaponry. Important to note about these shocking events is that they were previously warned early in the 1980s, when then-President Ronald Reagan, 1911 to 2004, The Washington Post published a story on December 30, 1983 that in its front highlighted the headline "Discovered Possible Mysterious Celestial Body of the Size of Jupiter," and which, in part, said, a celestial body possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter and possibly very close to the Earth that would be part of this solar system has been discovered in the direction of the Orion constellation by an orbiting telescope aboard the infrared satellite of the United States. Soviet-Russian reports of this American discovery were even more shocking after they revealed that during a visit with Secretary General Gorbachev during the Geneva summit, Reagan told the Soviet leader, "I occasionally think about how quickly our differences in the world would fade away if we face an extraterrestrial threat from outside this world. And yet, I wonder if there is any extraterrestrial force between us?" In his last speech to the United Nations in 1987, Reagan still stated how quickly our differences would end if we were to face an extraterrestrial threat, echoing the warning given 23 years earlier by the great Commander-in-Chief of the United States, Douglas MacArthur 1880–1964, who in a speech at West Point in 1965 warned that the nations of the world will have to unite because the next war will be an interplanetary war. The nations of the world will someday have to make a common front against attacks by people of other planets. About how prevalent UFOs in Earth's skies have been, the world learned this past week when information giant InfoChimps launched a data set revealing more than 60,000 sightings of these ships recorded to date.